In this video, we're going to have a look at what stocks paid me dividends in November in my stocks and shares ISA. Was it another bumper month or was it a flop? My stocks and shares ISA at the end of November stood at £81,639, most of which is invested in dividend paying stocks and shares. And we're now going to have a look to see which of those paid me in November, whether that beat last year's November, and where I am for the whole 11 months of this calendar year. Stick around and we'll see how well we did. Welcome to Destination Wealth. £81,639 is where the stocks and shares ISA with Interactive Investor stood at the end of November, just gone. How many companies paid me in November? Well, it was one, which doesn't sound great, but it was one of my favorite ones. It wasn't a huge payment, but we'll have a look to see if it still beat last year. Now, what you'll find is that dividends each month, I get paid dividends every single month of the year in this ISA, pretty much. So, and it does fluctuate. Sometimes they'll drop into other months. So sometimes some months are up, some months are down. The main thing is though, we want to be up at the end of the calendar year, which is where I track it. Let's have a look. The company that paid me that one dividend in November was a favorite of mine, and that was Games Workshop. If you're from the UK, many of you will know who Games Workshop are. Many of you have heard of them. They are a desktop, tabletop gaming company that manufacture miniatures, they manufacture desktop games, they have huge intellectual property, computer games, and they've recently signed a deal with Amazon to produce full-length movies, of which it's rumoured that Henry Cavill, who is a massive Warhammer fan, painting the miniatures, is going to be featured in that. That's going to be massive, and it's going to just explode the stock, in my opinion, to a much wider audience, and it can only do good things for the stock price. Now, Games Workshop in November paid me £52.70. £52.70 from the only stock that paid me in November of a portfolio. That was £81,639. Doesn't sound great, does it? But let's have a look. What we're going to do now is have a look at how that compares to November last year. So if I show you this little chart, this is how I track my ISA monthly dividends. And there's our £52.70 for November this year compared to £44.20 in November last year. So that's an increase. That's great. That's all good. But mainly the important part of this is how that compares to the whole of the calendar year for 2024, which stood at £2,034.42. With the £52.70 that Games Workshop paid me in November, we're already at £2,486.65. So well up on last year, and with another month to go with dividend payments in December. And I know I'm expecting some dividend payments in December. You know, we should be on for a record year. Average payments throughout 2024 per month were £169.54, if that's averaged out over 12. And this year so far, the average payments over 11 months, so all those payments divided by 11, are standing at £226.06. Again, very nice increase there. And if we have a good December, that should be even better. Because in December last year, we only got paid £33.46. So I'm hoping that we should get a bit more than that this December. We should bump that figure up even further. Now, not a lot to report on this November's dividend payment. So we're going to have a look at that Games Workshop payment and just see how good a dividend payer they actually are. We can see here Games Workshop's current dividend yield is 2.2%, which doesn't sound like a lot, but more importantly, the dividend yield is important. Most important thing of a dividend yield is that it's not too high. Once you get to dividend yields above 6, 8, 10%, above that, that's a dividend trap. And more likely, the stock price has plunged so drastically that eventually that dividend will be cut by the company and that yield will come down. You don't always want a massive dividend yield, so don't get dragged into that trap. So we've got a dividend yield of 2.2%, but more importantly is the dividend growth rate. And you can see here, Games Workshop has a dividend growth rate of, over the last year, 60%, or nearly 61%. Their 3-year average dividend growth rate is 30%. Their 5-year average growth rate is 43.1%. And their 10-year is 43.54%. So over the last 10 years, they've got an average growth rate per year of 43.5%, which is fantastic. And you can see there all the dividends that they pay. They actually paid in 2025, so for this year just gone, or not at the end of the year yet, but Games Workshop dividend payments, they've paid out 6 times for the whole of this year. 4 of them are their standard dividends, and then they paid 2 specials. The Games Workshop do this all the time. They pay special dividends. They really do return excess cash. They're one of the few companies that still pay their staff well. They pay their staff good bonuses. They pay out surplus cash to the shareholders, which is really important, but they still reinvest a lot of that money. So it's a great stock to own, in my opinion. That little caveat, this is not investment advice. Do your own research, read their financial statements, really know what you're buying. But it's one of my favorites. I'll just leave it at that and say that. We're going to look at a little example of what you could have earned in Games Workshop over the last 10-year period. If you would have put £1,000 into Games Workshop stock at the end of 2015, so pretty much 10 years, bang on, 10 years ago, and you reinvested all the dividends you got paid. So that's one £1,000 lump sum. Not every year, just £1,000. So over 10 years, all you've invested is £1,000. If you'd have reinvested all the dividends every year, which would have bought you more stock, today that stock would be worth in excess of £20,000 with just a £1,000 initial investment. That's the power of the dividend snowball and dividend reinvestment, which is why I love this investment strategy. It's why Warren Buffett does it. It's why Charlie Munger did it. All the really wealthy investors buy dividend paying stocks generally. Investors, not traders now. That's one single £1,000 investment. Let's say you invested that £1,000 at the end of 2015, and then every year you invested another £1,000. That's less than £100 a month. Every year you invested £1,000 and reinvested the dividends. What that would have meant is some really exciting returns. After 10 years and investing £1,000 and £10,000 reinvestments with dividends reinvested, you would have put in £11,000 of your own funds, which sounds like a lot of money, but that's not a lot of money over a 10-year period, is it? The value of your holding at the end of December 2025, get this, would be approximately £128,873. Now that is incredible. Another caveat, never ever invest all your money in one stock. I mean, that would have been fantastic if you had it done into Games Workshop, but a lot could have gone wrong. A lot could have gone the other way. So you would never invest all your money just in one stock with the hope of reaching that sort of gain. That is just gambling. That's like flipping a coin. You got a 50-50 chance. Yeah, £128,873. If you didn't reinvest the dividends and you just bought the stock, that would only be worth between £60,000 and £70,000. Now I say only, you still only invested £11,000 of your own money. Still a pretty good return. So you've gone from 11,000 to between 60 and 70,000, but reinvest those dividends, almost double. Well, it is pretty much double. You double your money, 128,873 in one stock. So you can just imagine, if you can plow in as much money as you can each month, buy dividend paying stocks or dividend ETFs. If you don't want to do the research and read financial statements and really know what you're doing, then it's best just to buy ETFs, or you buy the FTSE 100, the S&P 500. Again, not investment advice. Do your own research, seek out a financial advisor. This is just my own opinion and what I do. Now, I did buy a lot of ETFs and things like that, but I really do enjoy doing the research. So I quite like looking at financial statements, things like that, which is how I found Games Workshop. I knew of Games Workshop anyway. As the years have gone on, it's just got better and better. And I've just recently invested more money because they had a little dip in the stock price. So I've invested more money into that, as well as Greg's and other companies like that. If this was of interest to you, please subscribe, because I've got more videos coming up. The next one will be the same sort of thing, but with regards to my self-invested personal pension with Hargreaves Lansdown, and we'll have a look what dividends paid me in that account, which was quite a bit more than this one. And then after that, we'll have another video, which will be the two combined, and then we'll have an end of year one of all my investments, which will be the ISA, the SIPP, crypto, little bit in trading 212, personal pension, and the whole lot combined, and see how we compared with regards to passive dividend income for the year and capital growth, and whether we're on track for our road to £1 million. So if you like this video, check out this one next.